The Kazuha effect is something that describes a feeling of fear in the face of great opportunity. Opportunity that absolutely can be life-changing, but at the same time feels like it's always just slightly out of your reach. Unless you were to take out your wallet, remove your credit card, and give a gentle swiping to capitalize on this seemingly once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that will never, ever present itself ever again. At least that's what it seems like the vast majority of the community tends to feel when it comes to Kazuha and his rerun. Hi, the name is Walrus. I make daily Genshin Impact videos, so stop by whenever you want. It would help if you subscribe and turn the notification on so you probably could get all the uploads the moment they are presented on YouTube, or not, depending on how YouTube feels that day. So today we're going to be talking about this damn near unreasonable level of FOMO when it comes to Kazuha, and I understand where it comes from. For people who don't know, Kazuha is a character that was introduced originally in Genshin Impact patch 1.6, and during his initial introduction into the game, a lot of people were excited for characters that were coming after him, mainly the Electro Archon, now we know as Raiden Shogun. Yes, at the time she wasn't even out yet, and rumors were she was coming out either the next patch or the patch after that, so people didn't want to take many chances. Also, there were news of Ayaka coming out, which everybody knew at the time was a character from the beta, and incredibly stylish combat style along with her classy vibes. People just wanted a piece of Ayaka as well. So combine that with the fact that we already had a character called Venti, which you guys most likely are also familiar with, who did kind of the same job as Kazuha. In fact, a lot of people at the time were thinking, well, Venti probably does a better job than Kazuha, especially given the Spiral Abyss rotation that we had. It just seemed like it was a no-brainer to skip Kazuha, because if you had Venti, there was really little reason to justify getting Kazuha, especially if you also have a built-up Sucrose sitting somewhere in your storage. And yes, people ended up skipping him, and boy oh boy did many people end up regretting that decision, because soon after that, Hoyoverse made sure Venti felt more and more difficult to be able to fully capitalize on his advantages by including bigger and bigger, heavier and heavier monsters into the Spiral Abyss rotations, essentially edging Venti out most floor 12 iterations. Of course, he was still useful in floor 11, floor 10, 9, 8, blah blah blah, but when it really counted for the most, where people stopped relying on Venti. Now, that's not to say if you didn't have Kazuha, you weren't able to clear the abyss. Of course not. It's just for the most part, you felt really bad trying to run elemental damage based teams which needed Viridescent uses. You're stuck either using Sucrose or kind of biting the bullet using Venti, even though his burst skill was probably just shooting in random directions, not really accomplishing much. So it was during this time many people shook their fists at the heavens and swore by the fact that next time they would never let an opportunity like this slip away. Screw the content creators, screw people who told me skip Kazuha. I am going by my gut feeling this time. Which leads us to present day. What's going on? Now, the video is most likely titled something like the Kazuha effect and what it means. And this is what the Kazuha effect is. And I feel like going forward, we can actually apply this to other characters, other limited units, or opportunities where people have a severe FOMO for. And this has gotten to the point where now people are scrutinizing not just getting a C0 Kazuha, but the fact that what about C1? What about C2? What about his weapon? Right, how should I build him? What's the best team for him? I want to make sure that this one counts. And it's so anxiety inducing to help some of these people because they feel like nothing is enough. They've been shafted so bad, and people are hyping this character up to be like the second coming of Christ, to the point where they're saying, well, what if I get a C2? C2 is good, right? Like he's a broken character, so by this logic, getting a broken character to C1, C2 should only make him more and more broken. But let me tell you guys something, all right? Kazuha has severe diminishing returns past C0. with a free-to-play weapon. The reason he is so sought after is because that at C0, even with a free-to-play or 4-star weapon, as you guys might want to call it, he already reaches close to peak potential. Yes, C6 Kazuha allows him to deal Anemo damage as a main on-field DPS, and yes, of course, with his C1, you're getting 2 charges of his elemental skill, which also adds to things such as more damage, more particle generation, and more sucking. So of course these are all good things. And then his C2, wow, buffs elemental mastery. Who doesn't want elemental mastery? Everybody loves elemental mastery. And oh my god, isn't future Dendro reactions going to be running around with elemental mastery? So of course I should get that right now, right? It's Kazuha. What if they don't rerun him for another 2? And people are losing it. They're thinking that this is going to be it. If I don't capitalize on this moment, I'm going to be left regretting my decision for another year, maybe 2 years. And it all boils down to the fact that this psychological tactic of using FOMO to make people regret their decisions and running these characters on limited time slots, and also compounding that with making people wait so damn long. And however's really weaponized the community against each other, having people say like, look at my team that I have Kazuha, it's so good, you guys should try the team. Oh, you guys don't have Kazuha? Oh man, that's a bummer. You can try Sucrose, like she's pretty good, but it's best if you run it with Kazuha. And over time, people who didn't have Kazuha, of course, feels like, ah, shucks, man, I wish I had a Kazuha. Even if they didn't say it, they felt it. And what ends up happening over time, over months and months and months, this pent-up desire turns into a borderline obsession. So this is why I have coined the term the Kazuha effect, is when FOMO tactics work so damn well on a character that was overlooked by people originally. In a way, you could say Kokomi had some degrees of the Kazuha effect to her. If Kokomi's rerun were to be stretched out far, far longer, potentially people might see her in a similar way. Of course, it's not going to get to the point of Kazuha because Kazuha buffs damage. Who doesn't like more damage? But also understand that even if you had a C1, C2 Kazuha with the Freedom Sworn, but your Raiden is at C0, your Sara is at C2, do you really think that the C2 Kazuha is going to make a world of difference in buffing your team and characters to a point where they become substantially better? The answer is, of course, no. Kazuha as C0 with Viridescent already does the job so damn well that any more than this really is just fulfilling some sort of desire from within you that is emotionally driven. It is not to get actual meaningful combat upgrades. In fact, I would argue that if you want to drop money, Primo Gems for a C1, C2 Kazuha with a Freedom Sworn, it's going to be better for you to drop it on a hyper carry unit that Kazuha pairs well with, or just generally a hyper carry unit overall. That way you're going to get much better stats returned and on-field performance that's more visible and in a way could be more justified. All right, I don't want to see people end up going all in on Kazuha now, and then 3-4 patches down the line the Dendro Archon comes out or an amazing Dendro unit comes out that it's like the pivot for future team metas, which people will be talking about for a year or maybe 2 going forward, and then you again sit there twiddling your thumbs thinking, damn, maybe I should have saved some resources to capitalize on these characters. People nowadays are seeing only what's directly in front of them, short-sighted, narrow-sighted, and when you get short and narrow-sighted, you end up in a situation where all you can see is the carrot that's being dangled in front of you, but you can't see the fruit garden that is just a feet further from that. All right, that's all I wanted to say. I think Kazuha is a great unit, and now I'm telling everybody, even if you want to save for Dendro units, if you can afford to, pick one C0 Kazuha up. That's going to at least guarantee that you have him available for all elemental damage teams. Be smart about this. Leverage your resources in a way that's going to maximize your enjoyment of the game. And I can tell if you're somebody who scrutinizes over the fact that you missed Kazuha and you want to now make sure you get him because he's going to enable so many amazing teams. You're somebody who cares about meta, right? So why are you making the same mistake by going all in on a character when an entire new element is about to be introduced introduced into the game with new characters, new regions coming, do you not think that there's potential in all this new content for another revolutionary character? That's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, the Kazuha effect. Be very wary of it because it could be devastating for people who go just a little too deep. Alright, name's EroticWalruss. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, urge you all to stay safe and peace. Bye.